And we are live. Woo-hoo!
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. I'm Leona Dooley of Ebony, Ivy, and Time, and my co host Denise Jordan of Homemaking with Denise. We are here tonight for Life of a Home Cook. And I see we've got people who are jumping in already because the
Mhm.
conversation is going to be hot tonight. And those of you who are over here and you are ready to comment, you're going to find out that you are going to be working tonight. You're going to be working as much as we are because we are inquiring minds, right, Denise? And we want to
Yes, we are.
know what's going on.
Hmm.
So we welcome you and we're so glad to have you. And just a couple little tidbits we're gonna kick in right now before we get too far. We are in the process of wrapping up this week our May grocery challenge. And I say $10 grocery challenge because that was mine.
And
But
mine.
and Miss Denise had a $10 grocery challenge. We did ours a little bit different, but still, we are in and we are ready to go. So, tonight we're going to talk about our grocery challenge. We want to talk about what things did you find were your wins? What were your, oh, this isn't working? And what are some lessons that you want to share, with each other? Because that's what this community is all about. We are
Yes.
sharing and learning from each other. And so let me first say to those of you, I see a few names that I'm not necessarily familiar with, and I know you're coming from my channel. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, because I am working my way to 5,000 and trying to get there as quickly as possible.
She's on her way to 5K.
Yes, yes, yes. And we are moving right along, and I love it. And so I must say thank you to all of you because for your support to always be here with us. Now, Miss Denise,
Hmm?
you started this grocery challenge. This was your baby.
You know
And
what? I, you know, I, Now, okay, so I started it, but you and I both had a big conversation about this.
that's
We,
true.
we talked about that. And I was just thinking that both of us look at helping homemakers from a little bit different perspective, but the same perspective overall when
Mhm,
it comes to
mhm,
nutritional meals and that kind of thing. And I thought, well, let's just see how well we can stick to a budget, a
mhm,
grocery budget for 1 month. And I was thinking, could I not go to the store for a month? Or if I did have to go, could I just spend $10 and
mhm.
only spend $10 on perishables like milk, bread, eggs, cheese, produce? That was my goal of spending $10 for the month of May on that. Now, you set your $10 up a little differently.
I did. I had mine $10 per week. And the reason for that was because of the fact that our farmers markets have opened up and I wanted to be able to support them.
Mhm,
So really, I only bought milk once.
mhm.
And let me tell you, I did something and it was so funny because the big guy actually cheered. I went to the store and I purchased this little bottle of milk because so often I get like a half gallon
Mhm.
and it lasts quite a while because it's just the two of us. We don't have any babies here anymore. And so I got a smaller bottle. He was so proud of me. He said, "Oh, I'm just so proud of you for getting a smaller bottle." But you know what? My big learn for this was I don't need the gigantic bottles. You know,
Ah,
I don't need them. And so, two, it also taught me the value of having a well stocked pantry.
boom. That was one of the things that I found out too. And I have that one of the questions that you asked me to share was what was one of the lessons that I learned from this challenge.
Mhm.
And that was probably the biggest lesson of all was that you really need a well-stocked pantry to make this work. So I know some of the ladies said, okay, I'm in, but I got to buy groceries first. Because,
Mhm.
like if you buy groceries, say every Friday or every Saturday, and you
Mhm.
learn about the challenge on Wednesday, you're not prepared to go for a couple of weeks or for a month without shopping. But once you do your regular shop, not a stock
Mhm.
up, but a regular
Mhm.
shop, then it's to see how well you can do.
Mhm.
And so that was my biggest lesson that I learned. And because one of my viewers said that, twice she went out to go to the grocery store just to buy things for that one meal. So I asked her to join us tonight so she could
Mhm.
let us know how things went for her. I said, "So what do you think?" And she says, "Well, you got to have a well-stocked pantry to make it work." I'm like,
That's true.
yeah, yeah, you do have to do that. So I did go out twice.
Mhm.
And what I went out for both times was
Mhm.
cream. And I had purchased a smaller bottle of cream when
Mhm.
I did my regular shop rather than getting the big half-gallon size that I usually get. I
Mhm.
got the smaller size. And I don't think
Mhm.
when I shopped that they had the half-gallon size. So I
Mhm.
got the smaller size, which must be like a quart or a little over a quart or something like that. Well, that didn't last. And so the second time I went to the store, and that was $3.99 at Kroger, because I
Mhm.
usually buy the International Delight Caramel Macchiato.
Mhm.
Went to Aldi the second time, and I thought, well, they'll have it cheaper. They'll have caramel macchiato. It won't be International Delight, but
Mhm.
it'll be caramel macchiato. And it was only $2.75. Same
Mm.
size bottle, not quite the same flavor, but
Mhm.
almost. It was good enough. I've had it before, and it was good enough.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I got that. So that was $2.75. And so I had spent $4 before. This was $2.75, which brought me up to $6.75. So I picked up a cucumber, which was about 75 cents, and
Mhm.
strawberries, which was about another, $3 or something like
Mhm.
that. So I spent about my $10 there. So I've got to go to the end of the week. I probably got about this much cream left. So I realized, like, I really need a half gallon of cream to kind of last me for a good 2 weeks, at least
Mhm.
maybe three.
Mhm.
And if I'm drinking hot chocolate, sometimes I even put cream in that. So that
Mhm.
was one of my biggest challenges was the cream.
Mhm.
As far as the produce, one of the other lessons and I might be getting ahead of myself. I'm
That's
just
okay. It's okay.
Well, one of the other things I realized is that I need to save money out for produce because
Mhm.
if I buy all the produce, say at the beginning of the month when I shop, well, then if it starts to go bad, I put it in the freezer. Well, now
Mhm.
I don't have any fresh produce because if I
That's
put
true.
blueberries or strawberries in the freezer, when I thaw them out, they don't taste the same on my yogurt or our
That's
nuts
true.
and berries, as I call it. They're
Mhm.
great in smoothies, but
Mhm.
I want nuts and berries with on top of my yogurt, I need them fresh. So I
Yeah.
realized that if I'm going to do another challenge like this, I want to save out a little more so that I can go back for those
Mhm.
strawberries and blueberries. Because I did try some frozen blueberries, thawed them
Mhm.
out. It was like, no, that I didn't like that. So let
I
me be
hear you.
quiet and you go ahead. I'm
Well,
I'm
that's okay. That's okay. Now, those of you who are over in the who are over talking in the chat, tell us what was your greatest challenge this month. Were you able to stay on budget? Uh, did for those of you who tried it, now those of you who may have tried it and maybe you started out but had to do a little adjustment, and that's very possible. But let us know because this is one of those things that we're working through setting up our calendar for the rest of the year.
Mhm.
And we're planning to probably do another grocery challenge later on. And we were talking about it mainly because of the fact that we know with our changing world that we have to stay vigilant and
Yes.
stay sharp and try to stay ahead.
Mhm.
And so I think one of the things that, as we're going along, and I thought of this even after I had sent Miss Denise the script, one of the things that we're going to have to do is to really watch. We may have our main budget, but then we need to keep a little money for the pantry, stocking the pantry as we can catch things on sale. We need
Mhm.
to keep that going because it's very possible that things may change. They may change so fast that we may not have time to really, get to the store to do whatever needs to be done. And with the weather conditions the way they have been, and certainly if we have a summer like we had last year, it may be that certainly you may need to have some backup as far as your grocery pantry, your pantry is concerned.
Leona, as you say that, I was just listening to something on the news tonight, and it was talking about how there's like 40% less ships coming into the ports,
Mm-hmm,
and those that are coming in are mostly empty. So,
mm-hmm,
and then the various CEOs of the various places, Target, Walmart, different places like that, have already sat down and talked with the president and other powers that be and said, we're going to start seeing empty shelves. And then, of course, there's those AI videos that talk about buy
mm-hmm,
this before the end of May, buy this before the end of June.
mm-hmm,
But Lisa Sutton was talking from Sutton's Days, was talking about making sure that you start paying attention to what's being said and start stocking up on things. And I'm thinking that we probably should. I've kind
mm-hmm,
of tried to stop talking about this because I've like told all my family members, I think you guys should start stocking up on food because there could be
mm-hmm,
some empty shelves and blah, blah, blah,
mm-hmm,
blah. And they're like, you told us this before, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. I thought, I'm
mm-hmm.
not saying any more about it. I feel like I'm Cassandra from Greek mythology. She kept telling people what was going to happen and nobody would believe her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've said enough. And even to our people that are here in the comments, I feel like sometimes I talk about it too much, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so afraid that we might get caught in a pickle. That if we don't start, like you just said, setting a little bit aside and putting aside some foods for hard times, because I think hard times are
Mm-hmm.
coming. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what they're going to look like. I
Mm-hmm.
think hard times are coming. So,
You're right. You're right. And one of the things, and as I've been listening in all different directions, trying to see what the word is, what's coming down. You can, if you're listening sharply, you can kind of figure out who's blowing smoke
mhm,
and who's really being honest with the people to
mhm,
say, critically what needs to be done. And one thing's definitely an issue. I was talking to the farmers that were out at the stand that I go to, and they were talking about. I noticed that they did not have as many vegetables out.
oh,
And so I asked him, I said, you don't have as many, the selection is not as great. He said, well, one thing is the fact that we don't have as many workers as we had. And
oh,
he said, so I don't know what the middle of the summer is going to look like. He said, at this point, he said, my family, literally, he said, we're getting up very early in the morning, trying to go out and do some picking and bring it back in. And then we've got to run the market once they get in.
mhm,
And so, so he said, we're on overtime at this point, working both ends where normally he wouldn't have to do that. And so, those are things that we're looking at. I told him, I said, well, I said, I'm trying to buy from you rather than buying at other stores because I recognize the fact that this is a family business. This is how you survive. And so those are things that we want to look at as well. And today I woke up and darn if Richmond wasn't under another water advisory again.
oh,
And we just got out from under one about a month ago. And I don't know what is triggering this crazy system. But when I went down
water.
to,
Where did you send your husband to the store for water?
we have water here. I keep water. That's one of
Mhm,
those things I keep. And but we're for any other, like when we went down to Bethel, they really had to scramble because they had to start boiling pots and pots of water so that we could sanitize everything, prepare the food that needed to be prepared.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, when she says Bethel, Miss Leona volunteers at a soup kitchen at a local church every
Mhm,
Wednesday. So
mhm,
she's one of those kind ladies that are in there serving food, cooking food, washing pots. And so she said, so you had to
Mhm.
sanitize the pots yourself.
Yep. We had to go through and do all the sanitizing, all the boiling, and the entire city is under boil advisory. You got to boil the water. And so, what's funny is the other day I was coming through, and I haven't been hardly going in Walmart, but the big guy needed something from Walmart. This lady had an entire shopping basket full of bottled water.
Mm.
And I thought,
Hmm. Hmm.
interesting. What did you hear that I haven't heard? That's one of those things you think of.
Now you know.
Now I know. Now I know. She just had that feeling that she needed to stock up. And so that's something that we need to pay attention to along the way. Now,
Yeah.
let's see who's here.
There's
And
a lot of people here and there chatting
I
it up over there.
know
The
I
chat is hopping.
it is hopping. I love it. We've got Cynthia who's with us, and she was saying that she saved time not grocery shopping. Boom, boom, boom. And she said today was she was going to do her regular wipe down and organizing of the refrigerator, but found out she really didn't need to because she's not buying as many cold items.
Mm-hmm.
And those are some of the things we are finding out. And
Mm-hmm.
while we're talking about the refrigerator, um, I love my use it up tray, Miss Denise.
Ah, yes. Oh, I have to say, I copied her this week. I was planning a meal and I put a tray in. I got out like one of those little aluminum pans, and the meal that I was planning to cook, I put the meat in there, the vegetables, everything I was going to use for that meal. I put it in that pan and put it in the refrigerator. So when I got ready to cook the next day, I could just pull the pan out. So Leona, that was such a great idea. Thank you. I even did it a second time. It just really, really works well.
It does. It does. It just kind of captures those things that
Hmm.
sometimes get lost in the
Hmm.
refrigerator. I know,
Or
or
that
at
somebody
least,
might get and eat. I have been
yeah.
planning a meal where I plan to use apples or something, and the hubby had ate them.
Well, I found that even putting it in the use it up tray to somebody else we know means, oh, it's okay for me to eat
Yeah,
it.
that's for dinner.
Well, we got Ann on with us tonight. Ann, we're so glad that you're with us. And I
Hi,
know
Ann.
you're on a whole different time schedule than we are. And I appreciate both of us appreciate your being
Mhm,
here with us. Tamika's here. Hello, glad to have you.
mhm.
Caleb is here with us, and Caleb O'Neill. And we are all doing wonderful. And
Yes.
I hope everyone in the chat is wonderful as well. Molly's here with us tonight. Hello, Molly. Darlene is here. We've got Nita B, who is here with us, and whoops, saying hello to everyone. We have Same is with us today. Hello, hello. We have Caroline who is with us. We're glad you're here tonight. Tutu Loves Minnie is here with us tonight. We're glad you're here. Now, Darlene's sharing with us that she ended up spending the whole $50 that she had set, plus some more. She said, however, she hasn't gone shopping this week and she's making meals from what she has on hand. That's really what it's all about. Darling, we all have various family sizes. We all have certain needs that our families have. And so we had said that from the very beginning. You set the number that's best for you. Where
Mhm.
$10 worked for us, I'm sure for some of you that just didn't work at all. Hazel, we're glad to have you here with
Mhm.
us tonight. Tutu said she's leaving for vacation. Oh, go girl,
Yeah.
this weekend. So they're trying to empty out the fridge.
Mhm.
I know that can be tricky sometimes. Um, Caleb said that I love hot chocolate.
Mm.
And yeah, hot chocolate's great. I like hot chocolate in my coffee.
Me too. That's why I've been doing that this week.
um, T. Drayton said that she was $2 under her $25 budget. Yay! And
Yay.
she realized she needed more rice and a few snack things like crackers and pretzels. You know what? It you got as close as you could.
Mhm.
Just to say, yeah, and normally I think since the kids have been gone, I think I average probably somewhere between 75 to 100, probably close to about every week ish.
Mhm.
And but to cut it back to $10 was drastic. It was really
Yes.
drastic for me. And it's just two of us. But by the time you had the coffee, coffee's not cheap, and there were just certain things that were expensive. But I am excited to know I can survive on
Yes.
much less. And
Mhm.
that's another lesson that we've learned. We
Yeah.
can do with less. Hazel said that one of her challenges was not to impulse buy. You are so
Right.
right. And she said, like we said, things are changing. And we have so many budget challenges too. And that's true. Because,
Very true.
because as we think about our budgets, it's not just eating, we've got other things that are
Other
going up.
things. And
And
that was the hardest part for me was not the impulse buy. So like I only went to the store twice, and that
mhm.
was for cream. But the first time I went to the store, I went with Blue Skies. And I said, "Oh, I can't buy anything. I can't buy anything. I can only buy perishables." I was like, "Oh wait, cream, that's a perishable." Then while I was in the store, I was like, "No, no, 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 don't look at that. No, no." Because I was so used to just on an impulse grabbing
Mhm,
things,
mhm,
and I did not. So I was glad that I didn't do that. Either time that I had to go, it was like, "No, you are not buying that. No, you're not buying that. No."
mhm.
It's just you get into the habit of that. So Hazel, yes, it is such a challenge. But again, that's one of the lessons that I learned
Mhm.
was not to impulse buy, and that it is hard.
It is hard, and it takes us back to discipline,
Mhm.
trying to become more disciplined. And when it came to the kitchen and food, I wasn't always very disciplined. I
Me
just
either.
bought what I wanted. But I'm learning. I'm learning. Molly said she did not have a money amount. She wanted to spend less for the month and make her pantry work harder. And she was able to do that. And she said, "Thank you for helping her to do that, Molly. That's a good thing. That's
Yes.
great." And, you know, if you didn't have an amount, it's okay. And for some of you, I know some of you said you weren't able to start May, but you were looking forward to June and maybe trying it out in June. And
Mhm.
so that may work. So I certainly encourage you to, if you want to carry it on, we even talked about that. We may tweak the number just a little bit, but we're going to try to stay focused and try. Now that we've kind of gotten ourselves a little more disciplined, we're going to try to keep it.
Well, the one thing too, like I'm looking at what Same says,
Mhm,
and somebody made this comment just as we were beginning to start the challenge, and they were saying that they're concerned about us doing the challenge now because in June, if these tariffs kick in, we
mhm,
will have used up some of our pantry staples at a cheaper price and now
mhm,
be forced to buy them at a higher price.
mhm,
So, and I thought, I get it, but I
mhm,
felt like I had to begin to discipline myself
mhm,
so that
mhm,
even if things are higher when we start shopping in June, I'm like, Sunday is June 1st, and I can't
mhm.
wait to go to the grocery store. Not that I need anything other than more cream,
Uh-huh.
and we'll be out of bread. But
Mhm,
it's like we need to start thinking about that now. Because like Same says, butter is $7.99 and eggs are
mhm,
$3.99 in Chicago. So she says it's not an option. But when we say not an option is to be undisciplined.
mhm,
It's
mhm,
not an option to be impulsive. It's like we've got to think about it now because
mhm.
my husband was wanting to have eggs and bacon Like, babe, do you know how much eggs are? We
Exactly.
have eggs and bacon every day.
Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Well, you know, it's while we're here and we've got same with us, same is absolutely right in that you know, the prices are continuing to creep up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for those of you who have jumped in, and I know some of you aren't necessarily talking, but I know you're here with us. First of all, this challenge was brought out some serious creativity. We had to be creative with what we had. We could do some of the old things that we normally did, but for some things we had to turn and spin and do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to work our pantries to make them do what we needed them to do. And you know, I was I've been working through this book, and the book was talking about women of the past and homemakers of the past.
What
And
book?
I can't remember the name of it now. I was reading somebody else's stuff, looking over their shoulder, but they were talking about homemakers of the past, and they were saying that um, our grandmothers, great grandmothers, that this is what they had to do.
Mm-hmm.
They had, number one, a limited budget.
Mm-hmm.
They had a limited supply of food because food, they didn't have necessarily large grocery stores like what we have now.
Yeah, they couldn't just run
So,
down the street and just pick up everything.
mhm. So because of that, they had to be creative in
Mm-hmm.
putting dishes together. And so they had to rely a lot of times on just the things that maybe they grew. And so that's where how valuable canning was. And I know
Mm-hmm.
you've been canning. I've got some canning I have yet to do. And so we have to learn how to preserve what we have as we're picking it up. We've got to shop smart
Mm-hmm.
with those things that we have. So we're challenging ourselves. We're using our one pot wonders and pantry magic. And we want to be able to do that. Now,
Who was it that said not an option? Because I can't see them all, but I just wanted to go, and we don't
go
have to
back
pull it up.
to same,
Yeah, when she
I
said
think
it's
the
not an
same.
option, she's absolutely right. It is just not an option for us
Oh,
today.
yeah, right there.
Not, yeah, it is not an option for us today
Hmm.
not to be disciplined and not to plan. We just have to,
Hmm.
because with these kind of prices, and prices are only going to continue to creep up, we have got to um, be more thoughtful in
Hmm.
what we spend. And I think you were talking about, and somebody over here in the comments was agreeing with what you were saying, but how our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, how they had to grow a lot of things themselves. So
Hmm.
many people are choosing to grow a garden, to try to grow some of their own food,
Hmm.
and because they have to. And
Hmm.
I've got a small garden that I'm trying to grow. I've got a container garden, and I've ordered some of those green stalks to do that.
Hmm.
Because one of the problems that I'm having right now is being able to dig up the ground where I normally
Hmm.
would have that.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to see what I can do, um, zig instead of zag, so that I can still
Hmm.
grow some tomatoes and some peppers and a
Hmm.
few things. So, oh, Sierra.
Yeah, Sierra said that the biggest thing she learned is denying herself, and that was tough. And you're absolutely right, Sierra. I didn't buy any Oreo cookies. I didn't buy potato chips. I didn't
Mhm,
buy all the junk food, the things that we would normally buy and snack on. We didn't
mhm,
buy, not that we really needed it, to be honest with you, but I know the big guy missed it and he complained about it,
mhm,
but I wasn't buying it. And so that was it. And
mhm,
so, being able to deny yourself, when you're just used to going to the store and buying whatever it is that you want, then it's that discipline of just saying, like Miss Denise said, no, no, no.
mhm,
And, there's just certain aisles you're not even going to walk down
mhm.
because you already know if you go down that aisle, you're going to be in trouble. Darlene said that her pantry, her freezer, and her fridge are full. All right.
I
She said,
like it.
um, she had to hold herself back from going to Aldi's today. Yesterday, she stopped at her local produce store and spent 15.25. And you
Okay.
know, and I think I was sharing with Miss Denise the other morning when we were talking, or this morning, or no, it was yesterday morning.
Yesterday.
We were talking talking about the fact that produce was the one thing that as I was buying produce, I'm finding it to be a little pricier.
Hmm.
And particularly if you're going to a farmer's market, it might be a little more expensive than necessarily going to Walmart or to a Kroger or wherever it may be. And so, but to me, it's worth those few
Hmm.
pennies of extra because you're supporting someone's family.
Local farmers.
Hmm. Nita B said that she had to buy milk, hamburger, hot dog buns,
Ah.
but she stayed under $15 for the month. Woo,
Do you ever make hot dog buns? I know you make rolls.
Okay, I have done it, but I don't do it regularly because, to
Mhm.
be honest with you, I'm when I eat hot dogs, I just want the hot dog. I don't want the bun.
Oh, okay.
So it gets in
Let
the
me
way.
let you guys see how old I am. I'm so old. You know those jokes, you're so old. I'm so old that I remember the day when we didn't have hot dog buns.
Hmm.
When you had hot dogs, you just put them on a slice of bread and you rolled the bread up and you ate them that way.
That's
I
it.
remember when my dad started buying hot dog buns, and it was such a treat to
Hmm.
have a hot dog bun for your hot dog. And today it's like I don't want if I don't have a hot dog bun, I don't want the hot dog. But my husband, he'll eat a hot dog in a minute. Just put a piece of bread in there.
Hmm. And I eat them without the bread. And
Oh,
Anton is here, and he was trying to get fruit and vegetables on sale. The cranberries were moldy the next morning, and everything else is lasting.
you should if you got them at Kroger or the
That's
grocery store, you should have took them back.
right. Take them back. Take them
Hmm.
back. And because they shouldn't be. And sometimes you have to watch where, as you're picking them up, because a lot of times they'll start to push. They'll push things where they really should bring those that are older forward. They may not necessarily. It depends on who's stocking
Hmm.
as to whether or not they do that. So keep that in mind as you're picking them up. But I sure would take it back to the store. They'll take them
Hmm.
back. They knew they were wrong. Tamro's
Hey,
here.
Tim.
Hey, good to have you with us. Good to have you with us. Tutu says she can't resist the fresh berries. So she has to have those cost in her plan along with the grandson's fresh milk. And that's understandable. She said that's why she's leaning towards spending $10 a week this month. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, and too, that was one of the things, and I don't know if I said this already on the show or if I said this when I was talking to
Mhm,
you, but that was the one thing that I realized that I need to set aside money out of my grocery bill to buy fresh produce
mhm,
throughout the month. Because if I buy strawberries and blueberries, let's say on June 1st, by the end of the week, they're going to be they should be used up or they'll be starting to go bad. So then I might have to freeze them and then they're not fresh and they don't taste good on my yogurt. So I need to set money aside so that I can go back and pick
mhm,
up those fresh produce like berries and tomatoes and those kind of things so
mhm,
that they're still nice and fresh when I'm ready to use them.
mhm, mhm. Um, Jean says she spent way more than $10. Well, we all had to set our budget, whatever worked for your family. That's something to keep in mind. Phil J, hello, hello. We're
Hey, Phil.
stocking up on non-perishables is a good idea. And to save money, sticking to a shopping list. That
Hmm.
is absolutely true because it is so easy to go into the grocery store without a list and you will get lost.
Yeah.
Jean said, plus it's fresh. Food insurance. And she said, plus it's fresh. So I'm not sure what that went to. Oh, she spent way more than
Oh, she
$10.
said she's got a message up above that says barter with someone who has chickens and eggs for
Oh,
whatever,
oh,
something
oh.
like that.
Okay. Okay. I missed that. Okay. Uh, I missed her.
T. Drayton has a comment.
Okay. Um, Jean said too to keep water on hand too, and that should really be the first item to stock up on.
I
Just
can't keep water. I'll get water. I put it in the dining room where he can't see it. Next thing I know, we got any water in the pantry? Yeah. And like, since fishing has started, there he's getting those bottles of water and he's taking them out on the boat. So I'm trying.
I
Being
know, I know. We've got Ronnie in the house. Hello,
Hey, Ronnie.
hello. Got Nitty T here with us, and Uh, CRE said that preppers have screamed to stock up for years. And so she reminds herself that's how they make money, fear mongering. She said she does think it's wise to have some stocked up, but at some point it becomes too much. And I think that goes back to what Miss Denise is saying. We can give you caution, and
Mm-hmm.
certainly the things that we're telling you are not because of fear. It's because of just being a good homemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are just certain things you should always have. I have always had a well-stocked pantry. That's
Mm-hmm.
even as an early wife and with
Mm-hmm.
children, just to make sure there was always food. I see you're flickering over there, Miss Denise.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking for one of my books. I have a homemaking book, and it might be downstairs, but it's a
Mhm,
like a it's a homemaking guide for wives and stuff. And one of
mhm.
the things that it talks about in there is being prepared.
That's
So wives are encouraged to be prepared from
right.
the very beginning to keep a well-stocked pantry so
Mhm,
that you are prepared for any emergencies or hard times. You
mhm,
don't want to overdo it, but you need to have something in case of some natural disaster or supply
mhm,
chain disruption
mhm.
or whatever. Do what you need to do for your family, what you're
Right.
comfortable with.
Right. And I know we're subject to have family to drop in and stay. And so I don't want to have to run to the grocery store at the last minute to be able to
Mhm,
fix dinner for them or breakfast for them, whatever it is. And so I like having extra food so that I have
mhm,
that available. Nita B says she started putting aside her farmer's market money in September. So whatever she doesn't spend, she will start her envelope for the next year. That's a good idea. That's
that
a
is a
good
good
idea.
idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thriving on enough. She said, we stay stocked up with water in earthquake country. Oh my
Oh,
goodness. I
she's in
bet you do.
California.
In California, it's always a wise move, no matter where you are, especially in today's
Mhm,
situation, because between the floods, between the infrastructure issues that are going on, and I know that's the case here where we are, that we certainly need to make sure that we have water stocked.
and
Tiffany.
you know what? One day I was doing a live stream.
Mm-hmm,
And I had, I can't remember, I was cooking something, rinsing something. I don't know what I was doing, but I turned to the sink to turn the water on, and there was no
mm-hmm,
water. I'm like, wait, what? And the water didn't come on. And when I started the show, the water was on.
mm-hmm,
And so what I ended up finding out later was they'd hit a water main. So we didn't have any water
mm-hmm,
for the rest of the evening.
mm-hmm,
So hubby and I went out and bought some water at CVS or Walgreens, those
mm-hmm,
big
mm-hmm,
gallon jug so that we have some, because I thought you have to cook,
mm-hmm.
you have to, personal hygiene, ready
Personal.
for bed for the night, not
Mm-hmm,
to mention water to drink and that kind of thing. And whereas I might have had a few bottles of water, I didn't have enough
mm-hmm,
to manage all of that. So,
mm-hmm.
and like I said, I didn't expect to turn around and, oh, the water's not on.
I know, I know. Um, Jean has,
Tiffany.
Tiffany says she tried the use it up basket this week and she said it worked so well. She said she used her leftovers consistently and nothing got stolen from the meal plan. All right, Tiffany.
That's a good idea to use it up plain. And I've been working on that too, in making sure that I use things up, put them on a certain shelf so that, okay, so now I had those scalloped potatoes left over from a dish that I had gotten out of the freezer, and there was just enough left for two. I made sure that we ate those servings the next day because I thought, I'm not wasting anything. Phil got a question for you.
Phil wanted to know, will we speak about fresh veggies versus frozen? Now, to be honest with you, fresh is best.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have the availability, and there are places who their fresh veggie supply is very low. And I know in a lot of inner cities where there may not be grocery stores as nice as some other locations,
Or
they
none
may
at
not
all.
are not at all. They may not have a lot of fresh veggies. So because of that, I would suggest to them to use frozen because they are flash frozen and put away in such a way that they still carry that nice fresh flavor.
And
Now,
all the nutrients, and they're good.
they are good. And so, certain ones I know I use frozen peas for salads, and
I
frozen corn you can use for salad. And there's even frozen green beans sometimes I'll use for salads. And so there are certain vegetables that you really can use just like you would a fresh vegetable. And so, just to keep that in mind. But I am certainly, it's summer or almost summer. And I'm a fresh vegetable girl every time I can get it. Every
Yes.
time. All right. So we're going to get back and then we'll be back. Now, while I've got everyone here, let's just remind you, I'm Leona Dooley of Ebony, Ivy, and Time. And this is Miss Denise Jordan of Homemaking with Denise. We are sisters of
Mhm.
another mister, different sisters. And we talk about things that homemakers and home cooks are interested in. And it's always a blessing to be able to come together, bring this community
Mhm.
together. And so, please, if you're not subscribed to one of our channels, make sure that you go out, subscribe, give us a thumbs up on each of the channels,
Mhm.
and check us out because we got a lot of things that are going on. Now, we wanted, for the two of us, we wanted to really start the month strong.
Mhm.
And I know for us, because we knew we were going to do it, that was easier said than done.
Mhm.
And for some of you, it was like, it was a shock because it's like, oh my gosh. And I don't know if I can do that by
Mhm.
May 1st. And so, because of that, maybe you weren't able to start in May. So I would like to encourage you to look at what you're doing for the month of June, because I've already decided, I've already set the plan for what it's going to be. And while it won't be $10, because that was a little steep, to be honest with you, but I made it. I'm going to increase it just a little bit and not really get crazy with it because I think it was better because, like I said, from $100 to $10 is a
Mhm.
drastic cut. And so, but that money that's been left over, how many of you saved money?
I know
Because
I did.
I saved. I saved. And so, because of that, we can use that money to put somewhere else. It may be stocking, restocking the pantry. It may be, you may need a freezer, you know, and for some of us, I had enough that if I wanted to buy another little freezer, I could certainly go and do that with cash rather than having to charge it. And so,
And
look.
those little small chest freezers you can find at Walmart or different places like that,
Mhm,
Lowe's, Home Depot, for a
mhm.
little less than $300.
Yep. Yep. Used to be two, but not anymore.
Mhm.
So, um, we started strong and we want to stay strong. So tell us in the chat, what was the best dish that you made during the month of May? And we're inquiring minds and we want to know. It might be something we want to add to our meal
Yes.
plan. And some of you have been sharing with me along the way through the month, sharing some of the combinations that you've made, taking some of your leftovers, doing something really creative. And so share with everybody. This is a place for being able to do that. So please share in the chat. Now, Miss Denise, what was your most valuable pantry item? Your MVP?
Oh, I think let me think. I think my most valuable pantry item, I had a couple, but I'm thinking maybe flour was
Mm-hmm.
probably my most valuable pantry item. That and rotisserie chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Those two. Rotisserie chicken, because that was a fridge, but that's part of my four corners pantries. You know, your
Mm-hmm.
fridge, your freezer, your pantry, and your extended pantry. So
Mm-hmm.
rotisserie chicken was probably the most valuable because I was able to flip that into a couple different meals. You know, chicken and dumplings, or chicken and noodles, chicken pot
Mm-hmm.
pie. You know, you could. So I did so much with that. But the second most valuable was flour. I made a lot of gravy.
Mm-hmm.
I made a lot of gravy. We might have, chicken with gravy on mashed potatoes. I made
Mm-hmm.
Salisbury steak with lentil gravy. You could just do so much with flour. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
and one day I just had a craving for pancakes. We had pancakes and bacon. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
I was able to use that flour to make quite a few things. I didn't make bread,
Mm-hmm.
but I was close. But I ended up getting some free bread. So I didn't make any. But it's like I found that I could use it for so many things. I could have made biscuits if I chose to.
Mm-hmm.
I did make pancakes. I really wanted some sweets, so I almost made cookies, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So those were the two things. What else did I have on my list for that? But my rotisserie chicken, oh, and then the pasta, I forgot those because I used noodles, my Amish
Mm-hmm.
noodles for soup, the wider noodles for like a pasta dish.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also used my orzo pasta
Mm-hmm.
for like maybe the second time I've ever used it.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how nice that was. So
Huh.
my pasta was huge. And then spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
So when
Mm-hmm.
I think about my pantry MVPs, was my rotisserie chicken from the fridge,
Mm-hmm.
pasta, which I use noodles, orzo, spaghetti, flour, and I used the flour several times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then rice. I cooked a lot of rice. And then, of course, ground beef and ground turkey from the fridge because you can do a lot with that.
I
That's a great
know.
way to meal extender.
Well, what I try to do, what I normally do when I'm putting things into the freezer is that I always buy family size
Hmm.
because of the fact that typically you get a better price.
Hmm.
And so that enables me to break it up into various meals. And since it's just the two of us, sometimes I could almost get 4 meals out of a
Hmm.
big family pack, even though I didn't do all of it in one week.
Hmm.
But whole chickens where I
Yeah.
could put that chicken in, put it into a crock pot, put lots of water and all the seasonings and everything. I was able to make broth. I was able to, like I did a chicken salad. I was able to, one night we had baked chicken,
Hmm.
just, you're using all the parts of the chicken. And so as you're buying chicken, I like thighs over breast because thighs are, especially with bone, because you're going to get the nutritional value of the bone and the gristle and all of that.
And
But
more flavor.
also, yeah, more flavor is much more tender. And so it takes you much, much further. The family packs of hamburger or ground turkey or whatever it is that you decide. Those are things to keep in mind. And even, for those who may be smaller size families like ours, the family pack is still the way to go because it really does help you in stretching your budget. So as we continue to stay strong, we've started strong, but we
Mhm.
want to stay strong. We want to keep that. So I took a look at some, I'll say, non-traditional groceries and our grocery locations.
Oh.
And we talked about being able to shop not just at the big stores like Publix, like Wegmans, like Kroger,
Mhm.
Food Lion, those larger stores, but maybe some of the smaller stores that we might more international types of places. Sometimes you can get a better value.
Mhm.
And sometimes your vegetables are less because they don't have the capability of keeping them as long.
Yes.
They're trying to sell them as quick as possible. So some of the things I have about 12 things that I looked at. For my $10, I was able to put together baking powder and flour. I was able to look at eggs. I was able to have some fruits, not as much as you would normally have, but you have to be selective. What is something that you really want? We like apples.
Mhm.
And one week it was apples. The next week, the big guy picked oranges. The next week, he picked grapefruits. So we tried to switch it around, but
Mhm.
we just picked one fruit. Hamburger, like I said, I found the manager's special and went with the
Mhm.
hamburger. A choice between rice or ramen noodles. Now, ramen noodles you can get dirt cheap, but rice is more nutritional. And
Mhm.
so, but when you're going to an international market, you may be able to get that rice at a pretty good price. So keep that in mind. Another thing, if you're going to have the baking powder, the flour, your salt, those kind of things, and you might consider making bread, then do you want to buy butter to go ahead and spend the money for butter? Or do you want to go back to margarine? So you have to look at what your budget's going to be. Milk.
Mhm.
For me, I went from the half gallon down to a little bottle because that was just enough. And Miss Denise talked about that with her cream, that she
Mhm.
went from the gigantic bottle to a smaller bottle. But in looking at it for every week, a smaller bottle I can do. I can work that into the budget. Potatoes. One week,
Yes.
I buy a 5 pound bag of potatoes. That's going to, if I keep them well, that's going to last me probably the rest of the month.
Yeah, they might last a whole month.
That's a whole month. And salt, by the time you buy your salt, sometimes you can do a 2 for 1 and get your salt. And of course, vegetables. You buy those vegetables that are on sale
On sale.
and use them. That's the key. Use them.
Mhm.
As well as I did look at tuna, and one week the tuna was on sale, worked out great. I got 2 cans. The next week I went back to get some more tuna. It wasn't on sale that week. So guess what? I had to keep on stepping. you know, but that is something to also keep on sale,
Mhm.
to have available. And so these are things that you can put together. You can make a variety of different meals with it. And it's just a matter of using your creativity. And one thing I did get, I was sharing with Miss Denise was that, like, if I had certain ingredients, type it into Google and say, okay, what can I prepare with
Mhm.
this? And Google would just run down, try dit, 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 and it would tell you everything that you can use. And so then that's where our creativity comes in,
Yeah.
take the time to do that.
I
So,
think that's one of the things that I really learned was to be creative and to
mhm,
make Google my best friend.
absolutely, absolutely. I worked with Google a
Mhm.
lot. Uh, T. Drayton was saying she's definitely buying strawberries at her local store because they'll be 99 cents
Oh,
with a limit of 4. So she'll be freezing and dehydrating some.
jam, strawberry
Yes,
jam,
yes.
strawberry jam.
I've got strawberries in the refrigerator right now that I'm going to make strawberry jam with. Ronnie said that junk food is so expensive. She bought a half gallon of Rocky Road ice cream for her granddaughter for $9. Oh my
Wow.
gosh. But that's what we grandmothers do. That's what we do. But that's not something you would buy every week. And
No,
that's the good thing. So that was a treat. And I certainly understand that. I would have done the same
I
thing.
understand it. I'm a grandmother.
Absolutely. Darlene said her grandparents had a farm with fields of produce, livestock, and chickens. Her mother had a garden and made most meals from scratch. There wasn't many convenient types of foods back then. You're absolutely right. And I can remember when I went to visit my aunt and uncle who had a beautiful farm. I was little, and while I appreciated being on the farm, is now that I'm older, I really appreciate what
Hmm.
they had done. And he was actually a tobacco farmer, but he did a lot of his own gardening as well. But she was up at 5 o'clock every morning, making her bread for the day, making the biscuits for the day. And I mean, she worked, but every meal, it was homemade and it was fresh. It was good. So she used what she had and made great meals. Um, Bartering is popular in her neighborhood. This is
Oh,
uh-huh. I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to check into that.
yeah.
I,
I wouldn't have thought about people doing much bartering these days.
not yet. I would have thought we would have had to get a little further
Yeah.
out, but we do what we do. Um, Caroline said that companies are counting on impulse buying. You're absolutely right.
Hmm.
Darlene said, Denise, she's so old that a slice of bread was hot dogs and hamburger buns.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
Darlene, don't, we're all women
I
of
am. I'm
I
that
won't say
old,
all of
Darlene.
us, but some of us are women of a certain age. Tiffany said we had lots of hot dogs from her freezer this month in tortillas. Oh, that's a good idea. She said the
Oh,
kids liked them and it worked great. And in talking about those hot dogs today, when we went down to the church, they had beanie weenies. They had cut up the hot dogs, put them in beans,
I
and
used to make those
threw
for my
in.
kids when they were little.
Oh, my kids, girl, they ate those beanie
I
weenies
love
like
beanie
it
weenies.
was a T-bone steak. They
Hmm.
were so excited, and they served theirs over rice.
Oh, no, that's
Uh-huh.
new.
Serve it over rice, and it had a lot of juice to it, like a gravy. Oh,
Mhm.
girl, they ate that stuff. There wasn't not a drop left. Kim said she spent more than $10, but less than 50, and she's stocking up on canned goods. Good
Good
idea. Good
idea.
idea. Um, Jean said that she was chatting with others and commenting on our talk. Well, I appreciate that, Jean, and I know Denise does too.
Mhm.
Uh, Rachel said that she learned a little hack from YouTube. Put your fresh produce in a glass jar unwashed, and it will last at least 2 weeks. And
Hmm.
she says she's loving that tip. I may have to look that up
Yeah, me too.
because I did see that if you put like your lettuce, clean your lettuce, dry it, and put it into foil
Oh,
that and put it in your refrigerator, that will help the lettuce last longer as well. And so that
okay.
was one of the things I tried that, and it did work. So Rachel, thank you for sharing that. Well, I'm gonna have to try that. Tiffany says she always keeps extra food in case of guests. Yes. And she said she has people in her home for meals, not including her family, at least twice a week. So she always has to have a little extra to share.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely right. There are some things, regardless of how we're budgeting, there are some things that are family wise, our friend wise, that we want to continue. And so we can't stop those things. Those are things we want to be able to continue. All right. Charlene says she suggests gallon jugs for use and bottled water more for just drinking. She's in California as well. So it's really important.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. As we get those gallon jugs and clean them out, sanitize them, we may want to just fill them with water and try to preserve them in such a way that if nothing else, we're using them for personal needs
Mm-hmm.
uh, if we need to. Cows talk. Hello, hello. Um, my fridge, she said her fridge went out and her deep freezer went. She said
Oh,
she doesn't know what to do. And
you
it's
know,
done and by herself.
Kels,
Um,
if you have any relatives in the area close by, if you can quickly get some of that food out of the deep freezer and take
mhm,
it there.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. If you got children, anybody's,
yeah, take it there. And the stuff that's in the fridge, you can probably get some ice and put it in the chest for
mhm,
a short period of time. But stuff that's in the freezer, you're gonna need to get into another freezer because I know you don't can. She doesn't can or
mhm.
anything like that.
Okay,
So you
okay.
can't cook it all up.
Yeah.
This is my
And
sister from Louisiana.
and
Oh, no, Oklahoma.
it may be that you're check with your church and see if they have industrial freezers or refrigerators. I know ours does, and that you can bag everything, put them in a bag with your name on it, and that would be a temporary location where you could actually keep the frozen fruit frozen and keep your refrigerated food. It's not like you're going to be able to keep it there forever, but long enough for you to be able to work out whatever's going on.
Mhm.
And it may be that if you have a website for your church and let somebody know that your refrigerator or freezer has gone out. I know we've done this with ours, where somebody was in need of a refrigerator and they put it out on a blur, a little
Mhm.
note to let everybody know that person had a refrigerator in less than an hour. And
Oh,
so it's just a matter of letting people know what your need is. So I would start there.
yeah.
JC said it's been that I think JC, I don't know if you're he or she, but JC has been using up things in the fridge and cleaned up a bunch of produce to use. I use mostly frozen berries and cherries unless I get a good deal on some fresh food. That's good to know.
Mhm.
Um, T. Drayton said their oldest child, who's 19, that's at home, wants to do this month's challenge. Yay!
That'll be
So
fun.
he's giving him, she's giving him money with a $50 grocery card and letting him do the meal planning.
What
You
a
know,
nice adventure for him to try. And what a good lesson that he will learn on meal planning and
mhm.
budgeting and spending. T, you got the right idea.
You are absolutely right because, really, these kind of things, for those of us who are a little more seasoned, we can figure it out. But
Mhm.
it's our young people who need to know how to do it because our dad has always been preparing the meals and doing the planning and doing the budgeting. And so this is a good way to be able to teach them. Now, Charlene said that she dropped the ball of keeping the budget this past week and let Memorial Day get the best of her. That's okay.
Mhm.
However, it wasn't really much food items, and she hasn't been to the store in like 3 weeks. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, give
I have to
yourself
wonder if she said Memorial Day got the best of her, if she was like doing other shopping, which has nothing to do with the grocery budget. It was the grocery budget we were concerned about. So,
That's right. That's right. Tutu said reducing the trips to the store and shopping her shelves and freezer has really been saving her hundreds a month.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. Now,
Mhm.
Drayton sharing with us some of those meals. She prepared veggie lasagna and her kids made grilled chicken salads. Oh, now that sounds
Mhm.
great. Um, let's see. Covington Creek said that her best dish for May was the best lentil salad. Oh, that sounds good.
It does. And you know, Sally, I used lentils this month too. I had used them to
Mhm,
swap out. I didn't have any mushrooms. So I
mhm,
ended up swapping out lentils for the mushroom gravy.
mhm.
My husband said it was the best meal I ever made.
How
He was
about
like, "This
that?
is the best meal you ever made." I made Salisbury steak and mushroom gravy, only instead of mushroom gravy, it was lentil gravy.
Mhm.
It was so good, make you want to smack your mama. It was
Huh.
delicious.
Wow. Dolores says she made a chicken casserole that she threw together with leftovers. Charlene that said that her MVPs were flour and chicken.
Hmm.
And Tutu said her MVP were eggs.
Eggs.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Uh-huh.
you can do a lot with eggs. I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, Life Unimagined said macaroni tuna salad for May was her big MVP. That she
Macaroni
was
and
able to
tuna
put it.
salad.
It's funny she said that because it was funny at the graduation party. Everybody wanted my son-in-law's mom to fix her macaroni tuna salad, and which is really very good. But
Mhm,
it wasn't something that I grew up with,
mhm.
and it's a little different. But hey, they love it. Are you from New York? Life Unimagined, because that's where all of them were from. It may be a New York thing. Dolores says she cooked leftover ground turkey and made food for her terror terrier, Millie. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. Well, everybody's got to have a little something.
Mhm.
Um, Hazel said that she definitely saved money. She said she actually
Oh,
made bagels with
oh.
items from her pantry. She used her canned salmon for a few dishes, had salmon patties with frozen veggies, and then the patties with garden greens. Hey, we're stretching those meals.
And getting creative.
Absolutely. Heather said she had her chicken became soup, pot pie, sandwiches, and chicken salad. There you go. There you go. And she agreed. Life Unimagined said she agrees. Family packs are always her
Oh,
pick. They're a family of two. Hey, we are two. So at this point,
as are we.
so Anne, mwah, 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 we're
Good
glad
night,
that you were
Ann.
with
Get some
us. Good
sleep.
night, Anne. We know Anne's gonna slip out. It's 1:34 at night. So she's tired, and we're glad that you were with us.
Yes, thank
And
you.
Tutu said that they had spinach, eggs, and cheese mini frittatas, French toast for dinner,
Ooh.
and that Spanish dish with eggs poached with the spicy
Oh,
tomatoes and pepper sauce that we mentioned at the last show.
I remember they talked about that dish.
All
Yes.
right, all right. This stretches us. We're
Mhm.
learning. Uh,
Mhm.
Charlene says she's been watching videos on staple meals that they made in the 60s and how they stretched the meal for like 3 days. And she says she's really learning a lot.
Mhm.
We're learning a lot. Now, guys, I'm looking at the chat and I think we could go on for another hour because there's a lot of information. I'm going to try to hit some people we have not talked to. We got Laurie Williams. She said her MVP was curry chicken, all from on
Oh.
hand items. The next day, she used the leftover to make a coconut curry soup with glass noodles and cilantro, all from on hand items. And that's what it's all about. Tamara said that substituting leftovers for another meal is key in saving money
Yes.
and reducing waste for the family size. And I don't know about you, Denise, but I'm just beaming. I'm beaming.
I am just so excited because I just feel like that we all stretched ourselves. We all got creative and we have all been successful, regardless of what budget you set for yourself. If you didn't set a budget, whether or not you felt like you stayed on budget or not, we
Mhm.
have all been successful because we have all learned to be creative. We've learned to be resourceful and we've
Mhm.
learned to be more thoughtful about our planning. So it's a win-win, regardless of how things went. It's definitely a win-win.
Absolutely. And we're so thankful to all of you for joining us on
Yeah.
this endeavor. And, you know, we're not giving up yet. We've got a lot to talk about in our coming shows. We
Hmm.
have a lot of things that we still have to celebrate and to encourage and inspire you as well as ourselves
Yes.
along the way, because as we grow, you grow because we're
Hmm.
sharing with you. Now, with your family, celebrate the victories every time you make a meal. When you're able to put food on the table, that is a celebration in and of itself. Every penny that you stretched, if you saved $5, that's $5 that you didn't have saved. So think about that every moment. Now you can do this.
Yes.
We're growing, we're learning, and we're showing up. And that's what matters. So it's not the end. We're going to continue to share our homemaking and cooking tools with you. We want to be able to encourage you to become more confident in what you're doing. And we're certainly going to bring to you whatever we find that may help you in your kitchen. And just a reminder, if you're not a member of the community, you don't want to miss a thing. So be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button before you leave as well, and to check our um, description boxes out, because we've got a lot of little goodies that are in the description box that you may be interested in. So, Miss Denise,
Hmm.
what would you like to say in closing out tonight?
Well, I think what I'd like to say, and I kind of alluded to it just a little bit ago, but
Mhm,
that, you know, we have learned that this is definitely something that we can do. And it does take planning, it does take discipline, but it is something that we can do. And that also, that meal plan that you showed us a couple of months ago was invaluable because, you showed us how we could plan meals for 30 days on those little tickets and
mhm,
then pull them forward and move them around so that we've got a rotating meal plan. And I just felt like that was something really great. And then I also learned to add new recipes in there as well. So I
mhm,
think that, like I said earlier, this has been a win-win, certainly for me. And I don't want to make it sound like everything that I made was successful because I made one dish that was so bad. I'm like, okay, I don't ever want to eat this again. My husband said it was okay, but I'm like, no. I
mhm,
did put the leftover in the freezer, but I'm thinking about just throwing it out because I don't want to eat that again.
mhm,
But I did learn some new things, some new techniques. I learned, as I said, Google was my best friend and can be your best friend in Googling what ingredients you have to come up with the recipe or what you can swap out for something.
mhm,
So I really am excited about that. And then also want to encourage you guys, make sure you plant some herbs because that's going to add some spice
mhm,
to your and
mhm.
flavor to whatever it is you're making. And again,
Absolutely.
thank you for joining us. It was fun.
It was. So, to all of you, it is getting late. And I know everybody's got things that they need to do. But, we are grateful for your being here with us tonight. So, for those of you who came in on our show maybe a little bit late, I hope that you'll go back and catch the beginning through replay and certainly leave the comments and answer the questions along the way, because we will notice and we
Mhm.
will respond and let you know what we're thinking at that particular time, because we are inquiring minds and we want to know everything. So,
Everything.
God bless you all. Have a wonderful week. And we'll see you next week on Homemaking with Denise. So, have a
Bye.
blessed night.